Hey everybody, welcome to another .p counterattack. That's how this music makes me feel.
It makes me feel badass.
Here on .p counterattack.
Although it wasn't a badass game.
We get stomped. I'm Cyphus.
I'm Roland.
And Roland just backed out of a bet. That's what he just did.
Yes, I did. It felt like I got first blood. Maybe you could give some context on the whole matter.
So, the start of this match, and, spoiler alert, we were playing Treant and Spectre, and we were up in the top lane versus a tri-lane of Riki, Mirana.
There were four.
Well, no, there were only three. The Bloodseeker was mid, and he rotated up there for at 5 minutes.
Like quickly.
For like 4 minutes.
Yeah, so quick.
So we had Riki, Mirana, and Axe in the off lane versus a dual lane Treant Spectre. And it did not go well. Meanwhile, so at one point the Axe decided he was going to try to cut the wave. I was being all tricky with the Nature's Guys, waiting for just that to happen. The big mistake I made in that moment was, even though he was right next to the tree line and it was the opportune time for a bash, it was the wrong time to do it because he still had the creep wave at like a quarter health, which meant when I bashed him, I took a good 2-3 counter helixes to the face. That if I had just waited...
And the fourth killed you. It was like 2-3 to the face, and then the fourth chopped you in half.
And so I got killed, and he popped a fairy fire right at the last second to save himself from being first blood. He got the first blood on me, and then
I subsequently killed him.
Yeah, and Roland would have sworn up and down all the way to Sunday.
I just felt like I got a ton of gold off that first kill, which I guess I did because he
just killed me.
He gobbled up a bunch of creep waves and killed you, so I was like,
So Roland was certain he had first blood.
I was.
And he said, "How much you want to bet?" And I said, "I'll bet $100." Like I know, I remember what happened.
Then I upped it to 150, and then before we saw the replay, I was like, I may go back on this. And then once we saw it come out, I did go back on the bet. Yeah,
and because I'm a nice guy.
And then I said 150 in Steam Cash or something. I'll get you back.
So we put out a call last week. By the way, I forgot to bring this up before the show for Worst Ways to Die.
Did we?
Yeah, and we got a couple, but we wanted some more entries before we did another Worst Ways to Die segment. So those of you, and we have a voicemail about Worst Way to Die. I think we had an email about Worst Way to Die. So if you guys
1-888-410-7150.
And if you guys have Worst Ways to Die, call in, let us know, send us an email. We'll gather those up, and we will bring back Worst Ways to Die.
Okay, here's my Worst Way to Die.
Counterattack.
Sitting next to Denny. And him playing a shitty Treant. That is my worst way to die.
I feel really good about that Treant game, especially considering I hadn't played him.
You did well.
In a while.
It was literally... Okay, so I logged on to my 2K account, which is the closest account I have to Cyphus MMR.
Yeah.
Thanks, and we got it felt like we were on the back foot the entire game. There was a few moments of like,
oh, we're going to turn this, and we've got the late game. Those dumb
We did
idiots
have the late game.
With their stupid solo safe
so
lane
here's
void.
the problem. When you say that you have the late game, you need to assess how much base you have left.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of base left, and you say you have the late game, you might have the late game.
Yeah.
But if you've been raxed twice, and you say you have the late game...
Dude, you know what I love how optimistic you are in every game, and I'm
very optimistic.
And I get that my level of realism about our shots and our odds
obnoxious
is viewed by you because of your extreme optimism as extreme pessimism. I understand that.
I don't
but my God,
I don't want you to be realistic in a video game.
When we were getting mega'd and
suspend your belief.
And admittedly,
disbelief?
Last week we
got
your
disbelief. Would it be suspend your disbelief?
Suspension of disbelief.
Yes. There.
If
that was it.
And admittedly, last week you were right. I mean, we got mega'd and we came back.
And it was a beautiful game.
But this game, we were steamrolled.
Well, so
we lost our first tower at like 4.5 minutes.
4:30, yeah. And I was like, is our tower dead? And you're like, yeah, dude, it's dead. And I was like, well, at least that means I can farm again, maybe.
Well, it meant that they were going elsewhere, so you had an opportunity to farm.
No. Okay, so let's follow a format.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the format going forward should be how the pick phase went.
Okay.
what we were thinking, what we were planning on doing in that regard.
I like that.
And then we'll go through and we'll address in no particular order our heroes' advantages or disadvantages of the things that we noticed about playing against each of the enemy heroes. So I'm going to pull up I've got the replay downloaded because of the bet. So it's already ready.
It was it wasn't really a bet. It was more of a confidence that you had and a confidence that I had that ended up.
No, it was knowing a fact that I had.
It ended up.
It wasn't a bet for me.
We both agreed that it was it was too much on the line and that we should probably.
I should have just bet you your house and your baby. That's what I should have done.
You should have gone for something small. You should have been like $20. $10.
No, but you would have got $100.
Yeah,
that's your thing.
I always re-raise.
And so I knew.
But there's no bluffing you if you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna let him re-raise me. Let's go 100."
Oh damn it! It sucked.
Okay. Oh, give me the pick phase.
I can remember the pick phase exactly.
No. So here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna speed it up just a little and I'll pause this.
You have to. I remember it perfectly with perfect clarity.
Okay, so the first pick on our team was a Slark. The first pick on the enemy team was a Riki.
Okay.
So plug it into the counter picker because that's the tool that we're using.
Okay, we will. We'll plug it in. We're using Dota picker. Dota picker. Anytime you want to give us money, we'll appreciate it.
But we're going to use Dota buff for the legit analysis.
Yes, we will. So we first pick Slark, and we're using normal skill because that's what it was played in, and then they first picked Riki.
Right.
So now, as it stands, do we want to give that?
No, I don't want to do the synergy thing. I don't want to do synergy because this show's about counterpicking.
So do we want to do counterpicking right off Riki?
Yeah.
I think this is helpful. I
agree. Because these are things we have to talk about because we're never certain that we're even going to get the last pick.
Exactly. You see a Riki and you're a normal skill, Bristleback's your best bet.
Really?
According to Dota Picker, which takes in normal API, it's a plus 10% advantage.
At this point, mind you were contemplating like a Zeus pickup to go mid even because where was Zeus on that list?
Zeus is nowhere to be found. It was a couple picks later that I was considering Zeus.
Gotcha.
Zeus is a 2% advantage in normal skill, according to Dota Picker. I feel like there are not enough disclaimers for Dota Picker for us to throw out.
Okay, so our team picks a Clockwork, and at this point, you and I are starting to think, okay, maybe that with Clockwork going
Slark
off
and
lane,
Clockwork, we're like, oh god, one of us is gonna have to mid, and one of us is gonna have to support.
Right.
And we're like, okay, well, fuck, we're going to get split up.
So Mirana is the second pick.
So Bristleback was good, and then Mirana gets added to the list, and Spectre immediately to the top. Can we pause and try and understand why?
No. We're gonna, because the understanding why is going to come a little later.
Okay.
This is the point of the show is to delve into the why after the fact.
By the way, this is when I'm thinking Zeus. Zeus is both good against Mirana, Moonlight Shadow. I think pretty obvious there.
Yeah. And Riki, Invis, being able to reveal. Sure. Zeus makes sense because of the Invis.
Yeah.
Pretty much alone.
And then Bloodseeker, of course, they're both Invis when they're low health.
Right.
You can see them. And then Spectre is still the top. I would like to get into why on that, but we will.
So at this point, our team then picks up a Quap, a Queen of Pain. And after we lose a decent amount of gold, does the guy finally pick the Queen. And that means that you and I are going to get the last picks here, which is awesome. That's what we are hoping for in this show. Yeah. It sucks that we had to lose the gold. But at this point, you and I are starting to think, okay, maybe we're going to both be playing
Gank
supports.
Squads.
Maybe Gank Squad's coming back.
I was looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, I kind of was too. And then the icons got placed on the map. And
Slark's going off lane.
Slark decides he's going to go off lane with the Clockwork.
Did we have a Clockwork?
Yes.
Holy fuck! Yeah. I didn't see him once.
We'll talk about the Clockwork later,
okay.
And we'll talk about all the teammates later.
Yeah. All right.
The reason that happened, by the way, is because early on you and I placed ourselves. So you know what I hate, and a complaint I'll make right now is it used to be that if I put my icon on the map and then I clicked in the exact same spot, my icon went away. It is no longer that way. You have to now reselect where your icon's fucking going.
And it lagged. Have you noticed it lags at the start of the game? So if you want to hurry and grab mid, it's like
mid. We are partially to blame for the Slark feeling like, oh fuck it, I guess I got to go off lane. We're partially to blame for that because we had both plopped ourselves in the safe lane, thinking I don't know why, but it shouldn't be the point of the show that we always lane together either.
No,
I think.
it's not the point of the show. I would love to see an off lane safe lane. I would love to see dual supports. I would love to see mid safe lane.
So you know, and had we been a little better at communicating with the team, maybe we would have told the Slark to go safe lane and been like, all right, we'll play support.
Slark
we should
doesn't
have done that.
Any known language. That's Slark.
Yeah,
okay,
he was non-communicative.
There's no known language he knows.
So the enemy team then picks up a Faceless Void.
So we got FV up in this bitch, and Spectre is now top. Techies is now top utility, which actually makes a lot of sense. But we can get into that later.
Sure. Oh well, no, we're not going to because we didn't pick Techies.
But Techie stays relatively high.
So you pick up the Spectre. Honestly, a little bit here. I wish we had forced me to pick a support instead.
Yeah, I just picked it because I was initially going to go Zeus, if you recall.
Yeah.
And then I realized Slark was going off lane and we had safe lane, and I was like, all right, I'm grabbing Spectre.
So what was the top support at this point?
Top support would be Treant.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not counting Centaur, Underlord, Axe, and Techies as supports.
Right. So it may have been about the same, but I do wish we would have locked the Treant here. Mm-hmm. So the enemy team then picks up an Axe.
Yep. And this is when...
Boy, does this sound miserable. And this is where there's a little bit of miscommunication between you and I, because you had just said Treant...
This is when I picked Spectre, is after the Axe.
No,
because
you picked him before the Axe.
No,
yes.
because...
No, you did. I'm watching it live right now. I'm watching
it really?
Replay. Yes.
Okay.
You pick up the... We were
Spectre's
staggered.
still top. Spectre is still top core right now.
Yeah.
In normal skill.
So we should have picked a core. What support should we have we picked? Should we have picked according to the Dota picker? At this stage, with the Axe,
either Necro support or Tree.
Tree is top with the Axe.
I mean, it's Necro, Techies, Underlord, Centaur, Tree.
Okay, so then we did the right thing. We did what the counter picker wanted us to. We pick up the Treant, and then they pick up a Bloodseeker.
Yep, which immediately launches Techies to the very top of utility, Necro second, Venomancer third, and Crystal Maiden fourth.
Right.
Under utility, Zeus is the number one core, followed by Necrophos, followed by Tinker, followed by Spectre, followed by Luna. But Spectre was the top safe lane core.
Okay. So, that being said, we wound up with a Treant and a Spectre up in the safe lane.
Yes.
Quick note on the teammates. Let's just talk about the teammates generally right now.
For sure.
The offlane must not have gone well, and those in glass houses should be careful about throwing stones, all that good stuff. Our lane did not go well either.
It actually went okay for me.
Yeah, no, I thought it
felt like I dealt with.
I thought it went okay. Sure, I thought it went okay given the circumstances, which were not great.
I mean, we're talking about a Mirana, an Axe, and a Riki.
Right.
Riki went Smoke Cloud right after, so he went Invis Smoke Cloud, which usually you see Rikis do an EW opposed to an EQ. Which, the third skill, first skill is usually, or third skill, second skill is usually what you see on a Riki instead of third skill, first skill. And that sucked.
Yeah, it was just that we had that tri lane. Like, they had a lot to so Axe is shitty to lane against no matter what. Mm-hmm. We had a tough lane. I don't want to talk about our lane yet. I want to talk about the teammates. So the off lane left something to be desired. The Clockwork would have been an all right pick, I guess. I'd love to. I suspect that Clockwork was maybe not a great pick there, all things considered, but he was like a second pick. It happens. They were up against a solo safe lane Faceless Void,
who somehow got way too much.
Well, he got several kills in that lane.
I wasn't watching, to be honest with you, because I was Spectre. I was dealing with an Axe. I wanted to get last hits. I wanted to juke Axe. I wanted to juke arrows.
Let's not mince words. The Slark was bad. The Slark was
really bad. And really, really bad.
He fed a few
25-minute Shadow Blade Brown Boots bad.
Yeah, he fed several kills in that off lane. He was
farming jungle with brown boots and nothing else.
He was farming jungle when we had just, like, at one point we had just lost you, and he was out farming, and they were attacking us, and we had a full health tier 3, and it was 3v4, and had we had Slark there, that would have been a very different fight, because he was our, like, as terrible as he'd been doing, he was our source of damage.
You know what I say? I say that guy had one good game of Slark where he snowballed, where he got a Shadow Blade at like 11, 12 minutes, won the game super handily, and forever thinks he's a good Slark. Like, that exists in Dota.
Well, Slark...
Like, I think I'm a good Visage because I've had like 3 good Visage games. I've played 50 games of Visage. I've lost 47 of them.
No,
but those 3 good games of Visage, I feel like I'm badass.
The Clockwork was also kind of bad because every time he had hook shot available, he would hook shot, and he frequently. So I don't, I never claimed to be a great player, but I don't think hook shotting Axe every fucking time was a good idea.
Yeah,
especially an Axe that was that far ahead and a Clockwork that was that far behind.
Here's the thing:
Clock didn't have blade mail for the majority of those early hook shots. Blade mail doesn't even
so much matter. So here's the thing: Clockwork and Pudge are very similar in that you need to be careful who you hook, whether pulling them toward you or going toward them. So if a Clockwork hook shots an Axe, what you're battery assaulting, which is proccing counter helix, and counter helix doesn't have a cast time. It's just a response. It's a 17% chance. On top
of that, the Axe had blade mail. On top of that, he was super fucking farmed, and on top of that, he usually had somebody fucking with him at all fucking times.
Yeah,
it was the worst idea.
I will say Clockwork was great at hook shotting Axe.
Yeah, he never missed a shot.
Never once did he miss.
He didn't miss.
And then he died every time. And what happened was Axe was just stuck in cogs with a dead Clockwork being buried inside of his own cogs. And that was that.
And then we were down a man for a 5v4 fight that was inevitably
honestly, there was one, and then there was that one moment where Clockwork was the type of dude who was like, I'm gonna go for like the cogs play where he like tries to cogs and push people away, and he just missed every single time. Whereas it would have been much better.
Or one time he pushed the Faceless Void away from us.
And then Faceless Void was like, oh, thanks, time walk. And just got away. It was just like,
it was brutal. So the Quap was okay. Quap
was better than okay. Quap was the best on our team, probably. All things considered. Like, I went for like a bad man Spectre because I knew Radiance wasn't going to happen. No way. So I went Urn right off the bat. I went Phase. I went Blade Mail. It wasn't completely bad man. I went Diffusal. I went Manta. Maybe it was completely bad man, with the exception of drums. Like, it was almost a complete bad man Spectre build. Because I knew that there's no way this game is going late. I hope it does.
Yeah.
But I need to be able to be present early.
Yeah. We had to have you fight with us.
Yeah. And I did like a 4-1-1, I think.
Yeah.
And then 4-4-1, and then 4-4-4, obviously. Dispersion being last, because, I mean, if you have no health, it's worthless. Oh, I did get a Vanguard, too.
Yeah.
Which helped, but...
that's kind of the summation of the teammates. They are definitely not the only reason that we lost this
Slark
game.
was a huge reason why we lost. He was 2-14. He fed a lot of kills. His initiations were like level 16 Axe, level 9 Slark, level 9 Slark with Shadow Blade, level 16 Axe with Call and Blade Mill. Slark pounces Axe, Axe calls, Slark dies 14 times. The end.
Yeah,
that was...
So the MVP of that match was that Axe. He got a lot of work done early and let that Faceless Void get off the hook.
Faceless Void, yeah. So Axe created enough space for Faceless Void to be a 1. Basically.
Yes. Oh, I mean, and that was their intent.
Yeah,
their intent was to run him as a
maybe. Is there such thing as intent in 2K?
There was whether there was intent or not, he fucking ran him solo safely.
But intent and things happening are two different things, in my opinion.
So, okay, here's what I want to take. Let's go through. If we're just looking at Dota buff and we're just looking at the top 8 heroes on that main page.
Which, hey, you should plug what you did tonight.
Oh yeah, coming up next Wednesday, we've got Lollipop, who's the co-founder of a company called Elo Entertainment, which is the company that owns and operates Dota Buff. And maybe my favorite interview in a really long time. She was really good. Knows a lot of stuff. Just an all-around smart, insightful person.
You said very businessy?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't want to say businessy. I mean, she's obviously a savvy businesswoman on top of everything. And super optimistic about the potential longevity of Dota in a way that, like, in the past 2 interviews that we had, we got into kind of like Dota dying, because I always like to ask people, like, you know, so do you ever worry about Dota dying? You're creating content, you're trying to make a career out of Dota. Do you worry about Dota dying? It's something we talk about. Oh yeah, you know. And she kind of pointed to CS:GO and
Overwatch and everything.
Not Overwatch. No, she more pointed to CS:GO as a you know, if you told people 7 years ago that CS:GO was going to be at its peak popularity now, they would have laughed at you.
Yeah,
and it is, and it continues to kind of
nothing. I mean, I don't know enough about CS:GO to make this statement, but I'm going to go ahead and make it anyway. I played 1.6. I played a bunch of iterations of Counter-Strike. It is the same game.
Yeah, more or less.
Like maps down to dust.
Sure. Yeah.
Dust too, and like it's the same game.
Yeah, no, it's a legacy game is the phrase that she used, and that's kind of what developers want to go for. And one of the things she pointed out was maybe you know, why do games have to decline and go away necessarily? Maybe you just kind of reach your audience at some point. Maybe you grow and grow and grow and reach your audience, and you kind of remain steady moving forward. And so it was kind of a positive outlook for the health and longevity of Dota just as a scene in general. Until
they keep making more shrines. Here pretty soon there's going to be a shrine like every 5 feet. And then the games are going to last 90 plus... Well, they already do.
Okay. I'm going to get us back on track. So let's go through on Dota Buff for Spectre's hero page.
Okay.
The best versus the top 8.
I think if we're going to do this as well, before we go into counterpicking, let's talk about what is a trending guide for Spectre, for the people who want to pick Spectre. Why not?
Okay,
we have the time to do it. So the most popular ability build is obviously maxing your Q, getting 1 point in dispersion at level 4.
I think that is the Spectre build.
I think it is but hey, I used to go max dispersion builds, which
you didn't understand at the time, though.
Mathematically speaking,
you also didn't understand it, right?
Spectre likes to build Aquila, likes to build Phase, likes to build Radiance, likes to build Manta, likes to build Butterfly, likes to build the Abyssal Blade. Makes a lot of sense. Last hits benchmarks for you guys to look for people that are 6,500 MMR. These are the benchmarks they're hitting: 52 at 10. 136 at 20, and 216 at 30. The 30 minutes doesn't really matter, but know that if you're getting 52 at 10 by Spectre, you're doing pretty well.
You're also looking at a guide where they won a comeback.
But I'm just saying that, like, Spectre with 52 last hits at 10 is still pretty damn good, because Spectre has Spectre is a weak laner and it's tough to last hit with.
Yeah.
And then moving on to best versus. So
yeah.
These are really obvious.
1 point on the dispersion, though. I have heard arguments for the dispersion route that centered around the fact that dispersion, when it reflects damage, that damage...
It reflects the type of damage you're hit by.
No, more importantly, it's a legit reflect, meaning you don't take that damage. It's not like Blade Mail where you take that damage and they also take that damage. It is a legit reflect. You don't take it, they just take it.
And the cool thing about it is, you do pure damage to me, I do pure damage to you. You do magic damage to me, I do magic damage to you. Physical damage, like it takes the damage type that you do to Spectre and reflects it as such.
As the same type.
Which is cool.
Okay, so best versus, the only hero in that match that Spectre was best versus
is Axe.
Was Axe.
But if you think about the other heroes that Spectre is good against, Sniper and Drow are the big ones that I want to focus on here. What happens when you're close to Drow?
You kill her aura.
It's not her aura. It's her ult.
Oh, her ult.
Her ult.
I always say aura.
But it affects the aura.
But it affects the aura, right.
So if Spectre haunts, immediately Drow's ult becomes useless.
Right.
Thus making her aura less damage to the team. And you're all of a sudden on top of Drow.
Well, Spectre is good. I think the big takeaway there is Spectre's good against heroes that it's good to close distance on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I love snipers that think that they can pick into Spectre, because all it takes is you to see a glimpse of Sniper on the minimap, and you hit Haunt, and you kill Sniper.
Yeah.
Because what can Sniper do? He shrapnels, and he runs. And you're dispersing all the shrapnel damage, and he dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big takeaway is there was an Axe that was against me. There have been 68,000 matches And what am I searching under? Am I searching under 7.0? I think I am. So there have been 68,000 matches, Spectre v...
That's just this week.
Just this week, excuse me. 68,000 matches, Spectre v Axe, and Spectre wins 54% of the time.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this? Because...
No, we're going to get into it because we're going to go hero by hero.
No, I want why Spectre wins against Axe.
Right, we're going to go hero by hero.
Okay.
We're going to do Axe, and we're going to talk about how Treant's good against Axe or not, and Spectre's good against Axe.
Well, I want to know why Spectre's good against Axe.
These are questions everybody has. We're going to get to them out in just a moment.
God.
So the quick overview on Treant, on the best versus list, the only hero that popped up that was from that match was Mirana.
Yep.
On the top 8, just for the top 8.
I would go ahead and attribute that to Treant's ult.
Sure, potentially. Yeah,
we're
gonna delve further into it here in a moment.
For sure.
So you want to start with the Axe? I'm with you.
I do,
because he was our biggest problem. He was a big fucking pain in our ass, and Axe always is
a big pain in our axe. Okay, so Spectre being good against Axe. Axe is alone often. I would say. Axe blinks in and calls you, and when he calls you, you're doing pure damage versus him with dispersion. Or no, with Desolate. Mm-hmm. I would say that is a point why Spectre would be better than Axe, statistically.
Maybe.
Dispersion also. So if he calls you, he's getting dispersed and he's getting pure damage put on him.
I feel like dispersion's probably the... Because Axe is so good. So we've talked a lot about how weak Spectre is in lane, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, everybody knows how fucking strong Axe is in lane for those first 10 minutes. Mm. He's absurdly strong. He gets a lot of farm really fast if he's played right. He has the ability to shut down... He has the ability to shut down good farmers in lane, and you are a bad farmer in lane.
Yeah.
I don't think that
But I still have an advantage over him.
Right, and I think... So my point being, I don't think that I don't think that Spectre's advantage over Axe has anything to do...
With early game?
Yeah. I think it has everything to do with the mid to late game.
Like... so you die early on when he blink calls you, but later on when he blink calls you, it's a huge mistake.
Right. I think
you're right there.
I think the dispersion is the big takeaway there.
Also, if Axe calls you and there's a bunch of teammates around, you're dispersing a shit ton of damage.
Yeah.
And the point you brought up is you're blocking.
Right.
And dispersing.
Right.
And doing pure damage with Desolate. Yeah. And if you're able to live through the call, you can dagger your way into trees.
Right.
And escape.
Yeah, and the dagger probably playing a bit, at least in your survivability in the early game, although that just means you're not dying. It doesn't mean you're farming, right?
But not dying is pretty good against Axe in the early game.
Sure, and that's probably another great point, is that, at least you have a little bit of survivability against him to get to areas where Axe can't get. In my brain...
And Spectre really tanks up. I mean, that's the big thing about Spectre, is that... The longer Spectre's alive, it feels like the tankier and harder she is to kill.
Yeah.
And Axe likes to go after those slarks, those easy to kills. You know what I mean? Those easy, like Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage isn't particularly tanky. He's agile, right?
Right.
So if you get called by an Axe, you're fucked as an Anti-Mage.
Right.
You get called as a Spectre, you're like, all right, we'll see how this plays out. And if it goes your way, I'm just going to dagger away.
And odds are, unless he's got the majority of his team there with you, you are surviving the duration of the call at the very least, and you can get out.
And the items you build are armor, although pure, I don't know. I think
it has more to do with the tank and the dispersion. I think those are his big...
And Desolate. I think
Desolate, sure. Especially if Axe blinks out of position to get to you.
Yeah, and he's always going to be within a radius where Desolate will do the extra damage.
At least for a bit.
Until creeps run up or hero
people
runs up.
Or enemies close distance.
So I think we've pretty much nailed that one. Of course, if you guys disagree with us or have points to add,
was there anything that you, while playing Spectre in that game, particularly noticed?
Against Axe?
Yeah.
I could get away from him. The second I saw him on the minimap, I knew I didn't want to go near him, which is another thing. Also, I guess you can talk about Spectre's ult to a certain degree that, okay, there's Axe in top lane, Haunt, go bottom lane. that type thing.
Although really,
he really wasn't that scary,
that.
to be honest with you. I guess I saw Axe and thought, okay, that's just a hero. I didn't think like that is like the one that's gonna get me. I just kind of thought, okay. I didn't really quantify like, oh, Desolate's good against him. Oh, Dispersion's good against him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't that scared of him, I guess.
So let's move on to Axe Treant. Because so Axe versus Treant only has a 49.94% win rate, but that is about as damn close to 50-50 as you can get with those two heroes. And Treant's overall win rate is 54%.
55% on Axe overall as well on win rate.
So I mean, they're
pretty even already on win rate.
Yeah,
and then even on matchup as well. So that's interesting.
I think Treant suffers from basically what any melee hero does with Axe, and that is if I want to attack him, I have to be close. I have to be taking a counter helix to the face, most likely, if I'm doing something near him. All that is really fucking terrible.
Yeah.
On the flip side, in that game in particular, I felt like Treant was a good support for you to have in lane versus an Axe. Because what does Axe want to be doing?
The double melee sucked, but I do agree with you that it was good. Axe wants to be up in our face. You can stun him. You can slow him, especially slow him.
Yeah.
While healing.
Right.
And then by level 6, you can root him, which is nice.
So I felt like the strength of Treant in lane with you versus Axe, I felt like that was where Living Armor really shined. And Living Armor is a great skill. I know you can use it for everybody, but I felt like in that particular matchup, it was really good because if Axe is up in your face,
you're blocking some of the helix,
and I'm giving you a little bit of health. Mm-hmm. Or even better, if you are forced into the situation which you were, which is basically last hitting under tower with no creep wave, I can keep the Living Armor on you to keep you up and going, and at least you're getting farm while he's getting farm.
Yeah.
Had we just been against the Axe, I think eventually we would have dominated that lane.
Yeah, with Dagger, with him, he couldn't really cut the wave. Like, he could cut the wave, but I can throw daggers into it. You can throw Living Armor on me, and I can go get a couple pot shots on him.
Yeah. My biggest regret that game is that because I hadn't played Treant in a minute, I popped on the guide for him, and I maxed Living Armor, of course.
What, the Italian guide?
Yeah.
The Tortellini guide?
So I maxed Living Armor first, and then the guide had me max Nature's Guise second.
Max Nature's Guise, huh? I guess for longer stun duration.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. Axe can still counter helix when stunned.
Right. What I wish I had done is max the Leech Seed. In fact, I almost wish I had... I get 1 point of that, and then I do Leech Seed. Well, I do Living Armor and then Leech Seed and then max. I wonder how it would have done doing like a 1-2-2.
Oh, that's what I would have done. 1-2-2-1.
Yeah.
Like that's and then you do 1-2-3-1 and then 1-2-4-1 and then 1-3-4-1 and then 1-4-4-1.
Or even continue to balance Leech Seed because frequently
that's what I'm saying is balancing Leech Seed 1-4-4-1.
Right, because and I mean even going 1-2-2-1, 1-2-3-1, 1-3-3-1, 1-3-4-1, 1-4-4.
Gotcha.
That's what I wish. I almost wish I would have balanced Leech Seed because Leech Seed was so good against him when combined with Living Armor.
And it's healing me as I'm chasing him down.
Right.
So like as I'm running up to him to get hits, he counter helixes me, but then immediately one of your little tree orbs, your little healing blobs hits me and it heals me for exactly what I just got counter helix
for. So it pulses 6 times. So it goes from being a 90 damage to 180 damage. So I get an extra 180 damage out of it and an extra 180 heal out of it versus blocking 4, 5, 6, 7 damage instances on Living Armor with a 4, 8, 12. It's tough to, man.
Dude, I think that might have been a game that would have warranted like a 1-4-1. Because Leech Seed is so good against Axe.
But getting that cooldown, the
cooldown is great.
The cooldown reduction is the best thing about Living Armor.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Like the instances are great to have like 7 instances at level 4 on Living Armor compared to 4 at level 1. That's great, but it's the cooldown being at 20 seconds at level 4 compared to Isn't it 10 seconds every level? Isn't it like a 50-second cooldown?
Goes from 30 to 24 to 18 to 12.
Oh, wow. Okay, never mind.
So, I mean, you get a 50% reduction. You get nearly a 60% reduction in cooldown if you max it first.
But the big thing was making sure that if Axe needed to run away, he couldn't with Leech Seed.
Yeah.
And it was constantly
But I'm not
healing me.
But from the movement slow perspective, and you and I had a lot of movement slow between Dagger and that Leech Seed.
Yeah. And
the
your
movement
stun,
slow, though,
which is a movement slow in a way.
Yeah.
As in a movement complete slow.
But the movement slow increase on Leech Seed isn't that great. But I still wonder if Leech Seed would have been better because
I think you turn those guides off and you think for yourself.
No,
you're at the point where you can think for yourself.
Sure, but I still honestly I don't know what would have been the best thing. I'm really tempted to say that Leech Seed might have worked.
Not Nature's Guys. I'll say that.
No, not before Leech Seed. Yeah, in the future, I'll probably favor Leech Seed in most cases.
Sweeping guides. Okay, they're great
Obviously.
for lower level. Lower skill players.
The only benefit to the Nature's Guys was 3
seconds.
Stun. 3 seconds. No, but 3 seconds to 6 seconds on the fade time
is
pretty big in the late game.
But I didn't need you invisible all the time. I needed you to be there doing stuff.
Well, and I frequently see pro players not pick up Nature's Guys.
They get one level of it. It's great.
Yeah. I frequently see them not value point it until level 3. You know.
Yeah. I think that Tortellini can go ahead and have a pasta meal and think about how he goes ahead and says the skill.
I don't know. I would love to hear what people think about maxing Leech Seed versus Axe as opposed to either Living Armor or Nature's Guys or what the thought process.
Well, the whole point is kiting Axe, right?
Yeah,
not going near him. Yeah, right? That's the point.
No, but Leech Seed is more about going near him.
No, Leech Seed is it's a slow. You're supposed to kite, right? Like
no.
That heal goes pretty far. Those orbs go pretty far. Like, I could have been away from counter helix, but still getting heals. And going in for pot shots and getting a heal. Going in for pot shots and getting a heal. Waiting for dagger, throwing a dagger. Slowing him to basically a halt.
Yeah, I'm more thinking... I guess I was more thinking, like, it'd be good to have that extra heal
and
while
by the way,
you're getting
this is
close
not
to
an argument. This is just me basically saying...
I just honestly have no
I turn those guides
idea.
off, like, immediately.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how often have we... Yeah.
I like to think for myself even when I don't know what I'm doing on a hero.
Well, I wanted to have one on just in case, and it's always nice again, like for the suggested items. But again,
it's only the suggested items.
But even then, you don't need those because they now highlight those most popular.
Oh, and by the way, there's an option where the second you go into shop, you can start typing, which I have on. So the second I click shop, I can just start typing instead of clicking in that box to start typing, which has saved me a ton of time.
I don't like that option because I use a hotkey for the shop, and I want to be able to hit that hotkey to close it and not have it type that hotkey.
Oh, okay. I always click.
Yeah.
I physically click shop.
Yeah, I use hotkey.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Yeah, so I mean that's the Axe discussion, right?
Yeah, I think he warranted a longer discussion than maybe some of the other heroes.
Yeah,
but let's go ahead and talk about some of the other heroes.
So what was the pick? What was the next pick? Let's go in pick order at this point.
Well, we haven't followed pick order. Riki was the first pick.
All right, so let's talk to Riki. He was in our lane too. Mm-hmm. So Riki overall win rate 55.11%. He is worst versus neither of our heroes in the matchup.
Although I had a good advantage over a good amount of matches against him. Spectre is considered a 53% advantage over Riki with 225,000 matches this week, which I would like to think about because at first it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, one, do I care about the smoke, the smoke cloud on Spectre? Yeah. I don't want to miss.
I think so.
I don't want to miss.
No, I think more than anything, it has to do with your silence. With the silence, like I think where smoke cloud winds up potentially fucking you is you're not able to dagger out of it. That's what they were doing.
I'm not able to dagger. I'm not able to ult. I'm not able to hit. I am still able to disperse. So there's the one advantage. One of my skills works during smoke cloud. It doesn't disable passives. It doesn't disable
passive, sure. But like the thing for you, what was the problem was, and especially having that Riki in lane with the axe, it meant that and they were doing it, they were timing it well despite not being partied, and I can only guess that they had decent communication because anytime the axe finished a call, the Riki followed it up with a smoke cloud.
Yeah.
And we knew where he was.
It was a pain in the ass for sure. And that's why I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, Riki's invisible, Riki has smoke cloud, and Riki backstabs me, and then Riki goes off map invisible. Not off map invisible. I know he's going to be in the epicenter of his little circle. But why am I advantage as Spectre against him?
I mean, he doesn't want to backstab you.
Well, here's the thing.
Backstabbing you sucks.
Backstabbing me means
he takes a lot more damage.
He takes some dispersion damage. Also, when I dagger him, even though he's invisible, I can see him.
We can still kind of track him.
I can see him, but I can't attack him.
Right. Which means like if I'm carrying dust or we're doing the right thing,
we know where he
is and where to drop a sentry.
I think that might be it. On why Spectre...
Well, he also deals a lot of physical damage, and you are very good at dealing with physical damage.
Yes. I don't really care so much about diffusal carriers.
Yeah, you don't. Not as much as others.
Not as much as others. I still care, but not as much as others. I have blade mail, I guess.
Yeah, not all Spectres build blade mail, but...
Oh, Radiance, I guess. If I'm able to track him with my dagger... I can run him down with Radiance.
You're going to run him down more than you will more than other heroes with Radiance would be able to.
Because he's slow moving. Riki's not a fast hero.
He's going to have fewer narrow escapes if you have him dagger.
If I can get the dagger before he goes invis.
Right. Or even if you kind of roughly know where he's at, which is another nice thing. If you kind of know where he's at, you can always dagger to get a little bit of effect.
And then the second the dagger hits him, it's going to track him.
And haunts to his invis
that's
as well.
A good point. That's a good point. Even though I'm not attacking him, it is following him, and I can at least go to that haunt. Because I see that there's just a random Spectre haunt following nothing, and then hit dust if I have dust, and kill a Riki who's alone.
Yeah. I didn't feel like this Riki in this game was that big of an issue.
No, he wasn't a big... but I do like to know why.
No, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm totally with you. I don't feel like he was that big of an issue. I don't know. Was there anything you noticed in particular about Spectre playing against Riki? Was there anything that like...
Just the one thing that I've always noticed, like I've already brought up, is that if I can dagger him before he goes invis completely, before he fades to invis, I can at least know his positioning.
Yeah.
Which is helpful. It's like half smoke.
Yeah.
Or half dust.
Another 19 sentries I bought that game.
Damn.
Because of that Riki.
Okay, what about Treant? Where does Treant place?
So, Treant versus Riki only has a 49.23% win rate.
Damn close again.
Yeah, and you're again talking about two heroes that have over 50% win rates. They are near the top of the list, and they just kind of seem to basically counter each other out. I can do some of Riki's tricks. I can go invis. I can bash that bastard. I can place vision without...
You can root him.
I think most importantly, the thing I noticed with him was, and the nice element of it was, at least on Treant, as opposed to, like, why I was definitely hoping it wasn't fucking Crystal Maiden to play when I saw the fucking Riki, is I can get into their jungle and ward without him seeing me ward. Mm-hmm. I can get vision on the map without him being aware that I'm there and potentially just solo picking me off.
Also, you can slow a slow hero already. So you can dust him and then you can leech seed him, and he's not going anywhere.
Well, and with leech seed again, we have that kind of Spectre synergy in that
where you know where he is.
I know where he is if I get the leech seed off in time.
Yeah. And then root. He can W out of root.
I hate to say root.
Because it's just good against anybody.
Because it's just good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Treant's ult is just plain good.
But it is really good against some.
I think it has more to do with what you're capable against. I think the other element that might give Treant a slight edge over Riki at times, even though he's behind on the win rate, but it's an even matchup. I think the other positive thing that I noticed was anytime somebody was being gone on by the Riki in a solo situation, I at least had that global living armor to pop on that person.
True.
To try to help turn a fight or keep them alive to get away from him trying to solo pick them.
One thing I did notice about Riki that was obnoxious as Spectre, and this is something that just goes to show that I need to know. I already know this, but I do this all the time. Orb of Venom lasts for like 3 seconds or 4 seconds or something like that. Cancels a salve.
Well, of course. It's hero. It's damage from a hero source.
No, I'm talking like if it's like I've run away, and it's the
You gotta wait for that to go away.
I wasted myself.
Gotta watch your statuses, noob.
I know, and it was so painful. I was like, salve, sweet.
I mean, it didn't matter that I healed you right back up. I think after
it didn't matter, but it's still like I just ate 110 gold for nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's pop into Mirana because you have an advantage over Mirana as Treant Protector. Let's kind of figure this out.
Yeah, so let's see. Versus Mirana, Treant has a huge advantage over her with a 56.74% win rate.
Jesus, that's more than Treant's win rate already.
Yeah.
And he already has a high win rate.
But Mirana also suffers. She's got an overall win rate of 49% as it is.
That's damn close to 50.
Yeah, I think it has...
okay, so here's what I'm going to propose.
Okay.
If you're standing by trees...
Right.
She arrows you. Mm-hmm. That lasts 4 seconds.
Right.
If you have Nature's Guise maxed, that lasts 3 seconds.
Right.
So you can still be stunned and go invis.
But a smart Mirana's carrying dust, and this one did.
Yes. She carried it when I picked up an invis rune.
Well, that was just luck. She was picking it up because she was in lane with a Treant.
Yeah.
And your poor ass happened to...
I was like, invis rune, sweet. And then it was like dust, and it was like, fuck you guys.
Part of your problem was you should have just kept running into our jungle because that invis rune was going to last forever. You were way faster than she was. If you tried to juke them by doubling back. And when you double back, she just popped that dust right away.
I didn't think in a million years. Okay, so root.
So root is important to mention here.
Can she pounce out a root? That's one thing.
No, I don't think so. I
want to say no. I don't think we can test this.
Let's see.
I guess you can Google it. Your keyboard's pretty quiet.
Let's see. Root. Dota 2. All right, we're going to pull it up.
I'm going to go ahead and say like 70%. I'm going to go ahead and say 80% no, she cannot pounce out of root. So that gives you...
It's called leap, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. That's what she's doing. Is leaping.
Yep, Mirana leap. It is disabled by a root.
So you can root, you can go invis, and then you can punch her in the head and stun her.
Right. It doubly fucks her.
And then if she does leap, and you get the leech seed off first, she leaps, then is slow after. So you can get some catch.
Let's
quantify this shit.
No, for sure. And you're right. Like, that's all... I guess more than anything,
you're a gem carrier. I feel like Treant's a natural gem carrier.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, you plant trees everywhere. Eventually.
In some
games.
I think that's less of a decent point, just because that's. I think if you probably looked at like Treants who win with Ags, that's a drastically skewed win rate, because by the time you get to an Ags, you're doing pretty decently.
And especially, and it depends on how long you've had the Ags,
right?
And how long they haven't had a Quell and a gem.
I think most decent Treants aren't picking up an Ags until way late in the game, if they're way ahead. I think this is another one of those cases. Whenever I think as we go, we're going to get a lot of these, and I think the big problem for her is that she's not a good hero. She's not that good of a hero at this particular moment. Treant is a way better hero. Treant is super powerful right now.
But that even outdoes Treant's total win rate. Like, Treant has a 55% win rate, but a 56% win rate against Mirana.
You're comparing like an OP hero versus a pretty well balanced hero. You know what I mean? I think that I at the end of the day, I think that might have more to do with it than anything. And you're right. Probably the biggest thing being with her being she's an escape hero, and Root now just fucks everybody.
Yeah.
Root just fucks them all.
Root has become like the king.
Yeah, Root is king.
Because you can't cast, stun and roots. Okay, moving on to Spectre. Spectre has a 59.94% win rate.
Jesus.
Over Mirana. Here's the thing. Everybody's moonlit. I hit Haunt. I know where everybody is.
Yeah, that's true. But it almost as but in that situation, you're requiring yourself to use Haunt kind of reactively to.
Well, you're using it to gain it like intel.
But I don't think you ever want to be. Do you want to be using Haunt that way?
Sometimes late game, yeah, for sure. If I need to know where people are.
I feel like Haunt's one of those things we want to use in a fight more, or in reaction to something.
They hit Moonlight and they're trying to escape.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. It's like it's more of a reactive, like, nope, no, thank you.
Yeah, I hit Haunt for that. Also, Radiance Burn is going to affect everybody.
Yeah.
Dagger, the same reason for Riki. If they go invis with
Right.
Moonlight, I can still see where they are with Dagger. Mirana often alone,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, she's a roamer, and you do
She's a
well.
roamer.
You do well running into roamers. At a certain point in the game, you do really well running into a roamer,
Yeah, I would say.
which might also, by the way, factor into the Riki analysis to an extent as well. Like
Yeah,
if you
roamer.
happen to run into
Good
a
against
roamer,
roamers. Well, I brought the point up that if I haunt and I see that like 4 heroes are clumped, and then one of my Spectre illusions is
Yeah.
just alone for some reason, that
Then
I
you-
can go to that dust and kill Riki.
yeah,
Instant. Because once I do that, then Riki ults, and I sit there, and I wait for 5 seconds, and then I just kill him. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I think similar to Mirana in that front.
yeah, for sure. I think.
I can't wait to see people start correcting us. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
especially here
Because there
because
have got to be some big reasons for there to be a 60% win rate.
I mean, we've now covered the 3 heroes that were in that lane against us.
Yeah.
That combination of heroes was so fucking obnoxious to deal with. It was so painful to and I think some of this has to do with the innate synergy that those 3 heroes had. We kind of got dominated in lane because they were able to blink in, or not blink in, but get a successful call off on you in the early game.
Yeah.
And if they did blink, they could get a call off. You want to talk about the easiest fucking arrow in the world to hit? It's the dude who's just fucking sitting there fighting axe. So
Or the dude
able,
who's slowed in a Riki cloud.
well,
A little easier.
Sure,
at
a little
least.
easier.
Yeah.
I mean, but the combination of lockdown that they had, even though a lot of it was kind of skill based, it just meant that the moment we were in any kind of out of position scenario, we got punished for it. Sometimes even under tower. I mean, those early deaths, a lot of those even occurred right under our tower. We were able to turn a couple of them because the Riki was. I'd say the Riki was kind of bad, and he was out of position. He tried to fight you under tower at one point, and then went, "Oh shit, I can't do nothing if Axe ain't here."
Yeah.
We had some of those moments, but the combination of those heroes in lane, we just straight up didn't have the firepower to. We had the firepower to deal with each of those heroes, maybe individually. We might have had the firepower to deal with just the Riki and the Axe, or just the Mirana and the Axe, but we couldn't. The trio was just too much for us to handle.
Yeah, completely agreed. Okay, Faceless Void. Let's talk about Void.
Okay, you want to start on old Spectre?
Sure, because I don't feel like... So any damage I do, he time walks.
So let's start by first saying the Spectre has a 60% win rate, 60.17% win rate over Faceless Void.
Jesus. Okay. Why? That's the most fun and also most puzzling part about all of this is like, okay,
What do I do to that guy?
what? Faceless Void. Oh, I'm looking at Faceless Void win rate. I need to look worst versus, not best versus. Okay. Let's take a look at this. I'm still not finding it. What the hell? Am I just skipping over Spectre?
You must be. I have actually been using the base for Spectre and Treant to just find each of the heroes. I'm doing a Control F. That's how it does it.
That works.
So 60% over, man, I don't know what to say in regard to this.
Okay.
Some of it, an element of it has definitely got to be the slightly low win rate that Faceless has. A lot of people aren't.
What is Faceless's win rate?
48% overall.
Okay.
He's kind of out of vogue right now.
Okay.
He's not even being, remember when we first started, Faceless was like this stellar safe lane carry. And
we're talking like 2014 going into early 2015.
Right. And then he became this decent offlaner.
Then he got reworked and he wasn't really seen, and then Wagamama was like, you can build Radiance on him, and then he became an offlaner. I feel like it's like the true evolution of Faceless Void.
He hasn't done, I think he's still viable. And 48% is not terrible. I mean, he's not a Lena, you know what I mean, by any means, but he's definitely not an OP
Spectre
hero.
crush him. So, okay, so you Chrono Spectre late game. you don't really want to be damaging her a ton. You're going to take a ton of damage yourself.
Just depends on who's ahead. I think that's...
it does. It's
to a degree,
it's another
that
one of those
feels,
situational,
but
like...
At the same time, I think Faceless has to be crazy ahead. Like, that Faceless was crazy ahead of you, and that's why when he chronoed you and went after you, he could take you down.
He had Diffusal, he had a bunch of things.
He was double your net worth easily by the end of that game.
Yeah, he was.
Because
he was just... Nobody was stopping him. He was just coming and getting kills and going and farming.
Yeah, he was double your net worth by the end of the game. I mean, he was... Yeah, that, and I think that was the biggest problem. Like, I think normally when a Spectre goes after, or when a Faceless goes after a Spectre in a chrono, you're right. You probably don't want to be hitting the goddamned Spectre the entire time.
And you're just dispersing damage amongst everyone, because when you're chrono, there's a bunch of people around.
People are trying to fight around it.
And there's 1,000 radius on dispersion.
Right.
Which is a lot of units. So
I think that element definitely plays into it. You don't
time lock.
Time lock
doesn't matter too much,
because what are your major? You have 2 actives
and 2 passives that are really good.
And if odds are you're either using a dagger to initiate and then you don't care, or you're using a dagger to escape and then you don't care. Mm-hmm. On the flip side,
Haunt is just such a long cooldown.
It's such a long cooldown. It's like wah wah. Although, let's see, the
Bash sucks, but the thing is, Spectre's super survivable. So it's like if you get
or time dilation is what we were actually talking about. Not time lock is the bash.
Time lock is the bash. So time dilation is the one that doesn't really matter. So I guess Spectre has a better tool set, or has a good tool set to deal with Faceless, I guess would be the best way of saying this.
Yeah, you don't suffer as much from Faceless's big ulti. You are not the...
And okay, here's another point. Usually Faceless is off lane. I don't give a fuck if Faceless is off lane and I'm safe lane Spectre. You want to say that I'm a weak laner? Put me up against the Faceless and I'm not that weak of a laner. Mm-hmm. Like, what is he going to come up and hit me with his mace? Cool. Like, I'm going to continue to last hit.
Yeah, you can trade effectively with the Spectre.
Like,
and by level 3, you're trading way ahead.
I would say I would love to go safe lane Spectre versus an off lane Void.
Especially with any support in lane.
Any support
in lane is going to be able to zone.
And then at level 6 he chronos me?
Right, and he's got no damage. Yeah, he's got to have backup.
Yeah.
And he's got to have a decent chunk of backup.
I think that may be a big because he's now an off lane. Spectre is obviously a safe lane. And the laning phase, Spectre wins. I mean, Faceless doesn't do a lot to Spectre in laning phase.
Yeah.
And then later on, Spectre's doesn't really care. Spectre's just like, okay, Void, do your worst, and then I'm going to get away.
Yeah. No, I think so.
Okay, Treant. Let's talk about Treant here.
Treant versus Faceless has a 56% win rate, so he gets a bit of a bump versus the Faceless Void. I hate to bring it back to Root all the goddamn time, but let's go ahead and take a look.
Also heal. You can heal people in a chrono.
Yeah, you can do some damage mitigation.
And you gotta figure he's hitting once at a time. He's a cannon.
Right.
He's not like hitting super fast. So
he does a little bit of damage mitigation inside of the chrono for sure. The root,
he can root inside of a chrono if he's outside.
Right. If I'm outside of it, so he's effective counter initiation. And if we are dealing with a Faceless and we need to kill him and he does not have a chrono, that root really hurts because time walk is disabled. Because root again is king. Mm-hmm. Leech Seed is great against any melee cores because hell, you gotta be up. You're gonna want to be up next to them, fighting them anyway. So you're even more damage mitigation.
It's only like 475 radius. So if he's Leech Seeded, he time walks and then he's still super slow, and you'll probably be able to catch up.
And you can bash. Guess what? So can I.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe not as often, but I can do it too.
And when you bash, he time walks. You walk up, you Leech Seed. He doesn't have a time walk for a little bit.
Right.
You might be able to nuke him down in that time.
So I think I feel
it's kind of just obvious shit.
Yeah, I feel like Treant makes a lot of sense against the Faceless.
But it's more just like obvious shit. I think the big thing though is that Treant's ulti counters Void's ulti. Well, if Void can't move in his thing, in his ulti thing, then he sucks.
His chronosphere?
And you have 2 things that mitigate
damage if I'm not there to do
either stopping him from moving.
And one of them is global, so no matter where you're at, I can do a minor amount, at least a decent amount of damage mitigation.
Pretty obvious. Okay, who's the last hero that we're going over?
Bloodseeker. Let's start with old Spectre, because so Bloodseeker overall, and I don't know that we did this for everybody, has a 50.26% win rate. So he's not this is not the Bloodseeker heydays, but he's pretty balanced these days.
Pretty even. But Spectre has a 57% win rate over Bloodseeker,
which is pretty damn good.
And I noticed, so this, of all the heroes that we played against, Bloodseeker is the one that I noticed the most that I did well against.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I had stats. I had Blade Mail. He'd rupture me, and I'd say, aight. And you'd heal me. I'd turn on Blade Mail, and I'd run till I was like half health. He would be almost dead, and I'd dagger him, and he'd die.
Yeah.
His rupture was basically working against him. Because of my Blade Mail.
Yeah, and especially in any situation where he was not fighting with the entire team and able to have somebody like blocking for him, even in fights where it was like 3v3, that wasn't enough to stop. It wasn't enough to stop you from killing him.
Once again,
you were coming back. That Bloodseeker and that axe took them into that game. The Faceless Void finished the game, but you very quickly overcame the Bloodseeker. Also,
Bloodseeker silence. Similar to time dilation. I have two things that I do that are spells.
And odds are by the time he's silencing you, those things are done.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter. I mean, I've probably already initiated, or I've probably already tried to escape if I'm trying to silence with my spectral dagger. Also, what does Bloodseeker do? He's alone. He's a roamer. He ruptures you. He runs after you. I love to fight people one-on-one as Spectre. Haunt. He's in the jungle or something. I don't know. Like Bloodseeker.
You were going, and then you're just like, and then
Bloodseekers live in the jungle these days, right? Like that's what they do. They go in the jungle. I haunt. I kill a Bloodseeker.
Yeah, no,
I'm really not that concerned about him. Also, if he does rupture me and I haunt, I can just go to a completely different place on the map, that does not hurt me.
That's true.
So, I mean, I can get away from his direct, like, running in my face.
Yeah.
And I feel like Blade Mail has become more of a mainstay on Spectre. And Blade Mail is really good, especially if the silence is right about to go off, like his blood field. I just hit Blade Mail, and he takes a lot more damage than I do, and I don't really care about being silenced.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's it. It's just that you counter so many elements of his kit with just your kit naturally. I mean, or your lack of caring about what his kit does.
He gets a Silver Edge, that really blows for me, because there goes Dispersion and there goes Desolate with a Silver Edge. That's true. I lose my passives.
So now you're arguing on behalf of the Bloodseeker.
Well, I'm saying I'm arguing on behalf of the Bloodseeker with a Silver Edge. But, I mean, we're talking just hero advantages here. So
yeah, for sure.
I think that's it. Honestly,
no, I agree.
Of course, defensivepations@gmail. Go ahead.
No, we got to do the Treant.
No, I'm just saying if you feel I'm wrong.
Oh, right.
Defensivepations@gmail. I
was like, we're not plugs yet.
I'm not closing the show. All right, let's do Treant.
So Treant v the Bloodseeker. Treant's win rate drops down to 53.51% against the Bloodseeker,
which would say the Bloodseeker is pretty good against. It's upping Bloodseeker's
He does
win
better.
rate.
Yeah, he does better. He does better against Treant. Does worse against Bloodseeker
than
normally, yes. Yeah. He still obviously has a pretty decent advantage. I mean, on the pro sides, root. Root.
Okay, what do you think it is?
That gives him the disadvantage?
Technically that Treant has a negative advantage over Bloodseeker. Right.
So my point being, the disadvantage is pretty obvious. Okay. It's being able to see you when you're invis.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's the
smart.
Yeah.
Also, rupture. I don't think rupture rips through your heal, but rupture does a lot more damage than your heal. So it's not like you can living armor and run away from rupture.
Yeah.
Like you're still going to die way faster to rupture than living armor is going to heal you.
Living armor on anybody who was ruptured was a waste unless it was you.
And if you root him, he can still rupture you. Mm-hmm. If you root him, he can still silence field.
Right. The silence hurts me, unlike the Spectre case. The silence does hurt me. It means there are no living armors.
Yeah.
It means there are no leech seeds. It means if I haven't used it yet that there are no roots. There are no godly roots. And if I try to escape, I can potentially get fucked if I don't try to escape like above a certain threshold. I think that's pretty obvious why Bloodseeker does well. I mean, it's for the same reason he does well against just about any Invis hero or hero that likes to build a Shadow Blade. It's life. It's Bloodseeker.
Makes sense.
Yep.
This is cool. I like this. I like that we're going hero by hero, because eventually when we do like 150 episodes of these, like I will be like, that's bad against that, because this one time I was talking with my buddy and we like totally broke it down when we were on mic.
I mean, you could pick the tree into the Bloodseeker. It will be okay, but it's going to be a little bit tougher than normal.
All right, we're running long in the tooth, my friend. You've got work tomorrow. Let's close her.
Yeah, so if you guys want to find us, we are defenseofthepatients.com. That website is so close and it looks so good.
Oh, our website. But yeah, can we?
Nah, we should wait until it's done.
Okay, I was like, I really want to like. I love you. Who's making our website? I want to tell you that. Till
it's done.
Okay,
and then we'll do the big reveal, and maybe we'll have him on to talk about it.
Maybe for that 6-hour stream, we can party with him a little.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, pour some champagne onto my webcam and be like, pretend this is all over you because you're the one.
But that website's gonna look good, so we're getting really excited about that. We had to write the bios for the About Us thing today. That was fun.
It's cool when they ask you for information and then they're gonna do the work for it. You know what I mean? Like,
and you're like, cool.
All you have to do is
I can write a paragraph.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I had you write my paragraph.
Right. So it was very nice.
Yeah, it was super nice for me because I didn't do literally anything.
Yeah, I got to review Ursi's actually when I get home to kick over.
What is Ursi's? So. I'm the best at Dota, best on any team I've ever been on.
K-pop.
I'm definitely not 5'2". I'm more around 5 foot normal, somewhere around there.
5 foot normal is his precise height, I believe. Yes. So email us at defenseofthepatients@gmail.com. Please tell us why we're wrong. Where you think strengths may have lied.
This is a learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And next week, if you do email us in, I promise you we will dedicate the first part of the show to corrections.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or just valid points, or even people agreeing or disagreeing.
We didn't get everything right. I mean, no fucking way.
I know we missed something.
No fucking way.
I know we missed something really obvious. I'm sure too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure we did.
So let's see. Of course, Patreon. Yep, patreon.com.
Make your Patreon.
/Defense of the Patients.
We're about to hit $1,000 a month. So
where are we at right now?
We're getting some good. We're about $300 away. So we're getting some good suggestions.
We are $289 away.
Yeah. We're getting some good suggestions on what to do for $1,000 stream. So
yeah, we talked about a couple of different options.
$1,000 stream, $1,000 reward
goal. It's a milestone. Is kind of how to view it. Yeah. So when we hit $1,000 a month, we're going to do something new or something different from the previous goals. The first goal was to do 2 patron exclusive episodes a month for the 250. That's already going.
Oh, we should plug that the 11th at 6 p.m. Eastern
is when we'll be doing
the 6-hour stream for the $500 goal.
That's right.
Which we hit.
So with the $1,000 goal, we've had a lot of really cool feedback. We talked about it on that patron exclusive episode, the last one.
One person said that they really wanted me to captain the team and make Proud Nursey listen to me.
That was one. We had several more emails, though, about doing a Topsy-Turvy week where we basically
switch up the host.
Yeah, we do the exact opposite compositions on every show.
So the counterattack would be like Ursi and Proud.
And they'd have to use Dota Picker.
And Theorycraft Thursday would be you and I.
That'd be easy. Best.
And that's the only difference, right?
Best Theorycraft ever. No.
Tuesday Q&A would be Proud and you.
And Proudland would be me and Ursi. And then
that'd be a shitty Proudland.
Wednesday would be one of you.
That'd be a really shitty Proudland.
Be the best Proudland ever. Whatever.
No, Ursi doesn't have
Finally,
anything
we get
to add.
tackle supporting with people who actually play decent support.
Ursi doesn't have anything to add on Proudland.
You're such a dick. Whatever. Who would be the strongest start to that week ever got?
I don't know.
So we talked about doing that. I think it'd be fun. I like that idea.
The Topsy-Turvy week would be fun. What do we do on Wednesdays for content?
The one-on-one.
Oh, I would take that one.
Yeah, you could take that one.
I feel like I would take that one for sure for a week.
And honestly, having Ursi or Proud do it might be interesting too, to see one of them interview.
I feel like because we're founders, both you and I, it would have to be a switcheroo.
Oh my god!
On founders.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
we'll get you an easy interview.
I don't need an easy interview. Okay, I want like
we get Jonesy in here.
Jonesy, my dog. like Vlad or something like that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like
Like a day nine.
little bit of a language barrier.
Oh no, no language
But
barriers.
we
No.
make funny American jokes.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
So don't help us get to $1,000 then maybe just
I
give us,
am
like,
taking the Wednesday
Right.
slot if we do Topsy Turvy. I will say that right here and now. I am taking the Wednesday slot.
God.
Okay, let's go ahead and finish it.
One thing we haven't mentioned lately, we got the Reddit, Our Defense of the Patients.
And
Scope that
iTunes
out.
reviews.
iTunes reviews.
And Jay Gushi, what?
Yep, Jay Gushi, he runs everything over there at the Reddit. I have not scoped out iTunes reviews, so we shouldn't do them this episode.
We don't have any new ones. That's why we need new iTunes reviews, guys. Go ahead and type in Defense of the Patients in iTunes and leave us a review, an honest one, please.
We love honest reviews. Did we read all the most recent ones?
No, we'll get to it. And we will read it on the show if you leave one.
Well, I saved them all. I took snapshots of all the most recent ones on my phone.
I know which ones are the recent ones, but we don't have time right now because I'm exhausted and I want to go finish my leftovers because that was so good.
You get to
eat it
render
twice.
this episode and upload it because I gotta drive home.
Nope.
Yeah, bro.
You gotta make a draft. You have your computer here.
No, I gotta pack up my computer and go home.
You gotta make a draft.
I'm
not doing
that's how
it.
you're gonna do it.
1, 2, 3. Nope.
You're gonna.
I just did a 1, 2, 3. Nope.
No, you did a 1, 2, 3, and then you rock paper scissors nobody.
I did scissors, which would have beat your paper.
Okay, rock. Here we go.
No,
done.
No,
You lose.
I'm not.
You're doing-
I can't
yes,
upload this. I'm
yes,
tired.
You are absolutely gonna upload this.
I'm not
I still have to
gonna
pack up my
close
computer
the
and go.
fucking show so we can get this episode uploaded, please.
Discord.gg/.p.
I can't upload this.
You gotta.
No,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
come
gonna
on.
be great.
No, we'll do a team effort.
Okay.
I'll render. You can do it. All right. Let's. All right. Thank you guys for listening to Counterattack. This is my idea. Danny's gonna render the episode.
No.
He's gonna render.
I'm really
and
not.
upload it.
I'm sorry. I hope you guys enjoyed this on Saturday.
I have cigarettes inside, and I'll give you one, dude. I will. Oh yeah, you don't smoke, huh?
That's right. No. No, what one?
Fuck.
Until next time. This is Cyphus for the guy who's about to upload this
What
episode.
are we in jail? I'm offering cigarettes. It feels like it. I think I've got a couple stogies in the floorboards. All right, close us.
Good luck. Godspeed.